The exhibition concept behind Full of Days is a development of our proposal that was made in response to an open call by the Kunsthal. And the open call asked, how would you curate the history of Kunsthal Charlottenborg? And from the beginning, we wanted to challenge the idea of there being one history for the Kunsthal and wanted to include a variety of different voices.
And then came the challenge. The Kunsthal Charlottenborg has no archive. So how can we pick from 75,000 artists? To break the linearity, we had to do a timeline. So we actually start to collect all the info that we could find.
And when we started to break the line apart and sort of bringing histories and stories and anecdotes together, then there started to be sort of groups of events, artworks, artists that somehow started to work in synergy with each other. And through these synergies, we sort of had our building blocks for the exhibition. And we came quite sort of early in the process to the conclusion that the right way to do it would be to actually commission artists to make work, new works, in connection with this history, so that the artists themselves would be the multiple voices in our show. So the core of the exhibition is these 14 new commissions, so new artists telling a story through their work about the history of Charlottenborg, but also about the idea of history itself, of time, of temporality. Around this core that sort of like really holds the whole show together, we have a large selection of historical works that has been part directly of Charlottenborg history or by artists that have been shown throughout the years. And the last layer is a layer of documentation. Historical pictures that we've been digging up throughout our research phase.
I think we started visiting the attic of Charlottenborg. We had Finn Reinböde together with us. We keep talking about this holes in the archive, holes in history. And then when he was in the attic, he found this painting with the hole. And when he looked through the hole, he could see the main room of Charlottenborg. And then from this moment, he started to look for everything that he could find circular, which was somehow forgotten. And then the way that he worked with that was also very interesting, because it became somehow a planet, like planets, they float around. It's a very special one. It's Marianne Jaffrey behind us, looking into all the images that we had from the archive. She could see there was Corinthian columns in earlier days in this main hall, and then her idea was exactly to replace a column upside down. And she also mimics this color of archive, like the photographic, this gray color that she took from an image, so from the documentation from previous exhibitions.
This is another work that really relates direct to the history, especially of the architecture of the building. Throughout our research, we came to understand that this institution for many years represented some form of aesthetic conservatism. So the idea of like building an institution devoted to showing the art of the time sort of questions what is the present. So the present through the eyes of a conservative jury turns the blind eye towards the avant-gardes for many decades. However, at some point, we selected the exhibition that for us, at some point, we saw a matching or a meeting, a syncing of the time of Charlottenborg with the time of other artistic experiments that were taking place elsewhere. And in that moment, something unique happened, and this is when Festival 200 and the women's exhibition in '75 and represent really sort of milestones, and not only for Charlottenborg, but also as sort of exhibition history in Denmark that has also inspired other exhibitions abroad. Most rooms have something to do with different kinds of time, while certain works relate to some specific events or exhibitions that has happened in the building. Some other works investigate the idea of time. For example, Isabel Lewis and Dirk Bell, who are life partners and collaborated on the work in Repair that we see in the back here. They made a system of movable screens that will be that will have some like a choreography throughout the show. So they will be moved by the institution staff throughout the show, and in that way, kind of functioning almost as an alternative kind of clock. Like this movement throughout time will kind of mark the passing of time of the exhibition itself, somehow as if the exhibition had a different time. Onkavara, as far as we know, has never been shown in Charlottenborg, and the work has been brought in to contribute to this perspective about time. So we are celebrating 140 years, which it's both a rather long time, is more than a lifetime. But it is also a very short period when we look at history from a broader perspective or from a larger perspective. So Onkavara's work has come in sort of like framing the perspective we're having on time and of our human perception of time. It's almost like an existential element as well in sort of looking at this amount of time and seeing it from our very limited perspective. And for us, this has also been a very important part of our process, like creating an image that is not stable, an image that changes through time, that has a sense of instability, like the idea of history as a layered and unstable image.